Hi, this is I'll Explain. This time I'll explain the Zaku II F2. Zaku II F2, model number MS-06F2, is the final version of the base model Zaku II for Principality of Zeon in the One-Year War. Having said that, they were more prominently associated with post-war Zeon insurgencies. Zaku II F2, as its name suggests, started its development cycle as Zaku II F. We have looked at the Zaku II F, and despite Zeon's optimism and extensive testing done in colonies, Zaku II F was just not suitable for operating on Earth for any extended amount of time. Sure, Zaku II F was still superior to the traditional military vehicles in combat that Earth Federation forces was using on Earth, but Zaku II F handled Earth's complex terrain and climate rather poorly, slowing Zeon's own advance and turned the Earth campaign into a war of attrition that Zeon could ill afford. But Zeon had already occupied over 50% of the landmass and major cities on Earth. They were in a position to control Earth, if not make permanent presence. While Zeon High Command increased the production of support military vehicles and developed different types of Zaku II to be used on Earth, the Zeon armorers and engineers were also busy making their Zaku II less affected by the Earth's terrain and climate. That's why you may see some Zaku II F-type with some C-type anti-bioweapon and anti-chemical weapon parts to give Zaku II better seal against the environment. Some would make more drastic modifications that would eventually become the Zaku II J. Contrary to popular belief, Zeon was not carried away by the success of these variations. Zeon had been keenly aware from the beginning of the war that they would lose to the Federation in a war of attrition, and so they planned for Zaku II's successor before the invasion of Earth began. All the Zaku II variations were stopgap solutions. However, the intended Zaku II successor was not as successful as Zeon had hoped for, so Zeon decided to turn the intended Zaku II successor into a stopgap solution while they developed another Zaku II successor. Zeon ran through that cycle at least 3 times before it eventually settled on the Gelgoog. While Zeon had been rather diligent in keeping their Zaku II successors reasonably compatible with Zaku II in parts, all the extra stopgap mobile suits Zeon introduced, like the Groove and Dome, are not as compatible between each other. Zeon was not doing well on Earth or space either, since the Federation unleashed their mobile suits and started to reclaim Zeon-occupied territory in order to maximize the Gelgoog's production while supplying replacement parts needed by the front line. Zeon launched the Maintenance Unification Project. Zeon would design and produce a new series of center parts like arms, legs, head modules by consolidating all the mobile suit designs in production and development. Gelgoog is of course the heart of the project, so all the new parts would meet Gelgoog specifications. For existing mobile suits like Zaku II, it means it would need to be modified to use these new parts. Thus, the Zaku II F2, a new standard for Zaku II, was created to utilize the parts from the Maintenance Unification Project. Zeon engineers took this opportunity to overhaul the design of the Zaku II so the F2 type would be effective on Earth and space without modification, while remaining economical to operate, unlike the S-type, which was effective on Earth and in space but relatively expensive to operate. This is done by consolidating design elements from different Zaku II variants, making the most optimal design with new standard parts. Let's take a closer look starting from the head. The head of Zaku II F2 is more or less the same as the old Zaku II F, externally at least. Although it is not uncommon to see one with additional armor. Internally, it is the same mono-eye optics, laser transceiver, and cooling system design, but built with new parts designed for the Gelgoog. Thus, the Zaku II F2 has better targeting acquisition and communication performance compared to the old F-type. But it is still not quite as good as Gelgoog, which has a new head design with extra equipment. Zaku II F2's torso is more drastically overhauled. While the Gelgoog uses a completely different torso architecture, other existing mobile suit designs like Groove and Dome are still based there on the Zaku II. So with the Maintenance Unification Project, Zeon redesigned the Zaku II F2's torso, allowing it to be built into a torso for Groove or Dome, or any other mobile suit based on the Zaku's torso architecture. This not only improved the compatibility between Zaku II, Groove and Dome, but also improved the production efficiency. In addition, since the new torso would need to be able to accommodate larger reactors and cooling system on Groove and Dome, it means Zaku II F2 also has the internal volume for those. However, since the Zaku II F2 will still be using mostly Zaku II equipment and weaponry, there is no reason for Zeon to upgrade its reactor like those on Groove or Dome. But with the improved cooling system and Gelgoog spec parts, the Zaku II F2 does manage to squeeze a bit more power from the same reactor that Zaku II F was using. Most importantly, however, with the overhauled torso, Zaku II F2 can operate on Earth almost indefinitely like J-type and still maintain its capabilities in space. The new torso design is also lighter than the old Zaku II F2, allowing extra armor to be added around the cockpit to improve the pilot's survivability. Zaku II F2 skirts are more or less the same as Zaku II F's, except for the counter thrusters on the front, which help reduce Zaku II F2's legs wear when going over vertical terrain, or just extra posture control in space. Zaku II F2's legs are based on the old Zaku II F, with internal design like the Zaku II G, the Zaku II high mobility ground type, built with Gelgoog parts. This means the Zaku II F has all the apogee motors it needed on its legs to maneuver like the F-type, the physicality to run faster and jump higher like the G-type, and factor thrusters to help out all of that. It also means Zaku II F2's legs are lighter than the old F-type and G-type, allowing more armor to be added on the lower legs to protect Zaku II F2's mobility. And like the Zaku II F2's torso, the legs can also be built into the legs for Groove and Dome. Zaku II F2's arms are also drastically overhauled like the torso. While Groove and Dome's arms were based on the Zaku II's, they were being modified in different ways that become incompatible with each other. Zeon's solution for this is simple: build the new standard arms larger like Dome, and provide hard points on the forearms to fit fixed weaponry like Groove. But for compatibility with older Zeon torso, and the fact that Zaku II F2 still uses a smaller main reactor, it uses a more durable shoulder module based on the Zaku II-J, instead of the more powerful one found on Groove, Dome, and Gelgoog. The hard points on the forearm are often replaced with simple block of space armor, but can be reinstated to fit extra weapons and other equipment. Zaku II F2's backpack is based on the one used by Zaku II C-type and S-type, with apogee motors near the top and relatively large movable thrusters. Sure, this type of backpack is more expensive to produce compared to the one used on F-type or J-type, but it is cheaper to produce a single backpack than a F-type and J-type backpack for Zaku II to swap around. Not to mention, the production line can focus on producing one type of backpack and its replacement parts, further even out the cost and simplify logistics. We had gone over the Zaku II F2's arsenal with the Federation type, and surprised not surprised, that is also the original Zeon rollout as well. You may wonder why Zeon didn't give Zaku II F2 new weapons that would be more effective against mobile suits, since the Federation had deployed their own mobile suits. First of all, they did. The 90mm machine gun is designed for shooting mobile suits at close range where most mobile suit combat occurs. Secondly, Zeon had limited production capacities, so if there is a giant bazooka, it would go to a dome or red dome first. Reason triple was because Zeon was trying to replace the Zaku II with Gelgoog, so Zaku II F2 just needed to be able to hold its pose until it was replaced. That replacement plan was cut short, however, since Zeon was defeated before it could replace the majority of its Zaku II with Gelgoog. Zaku II F2 were often piloted by novice pilots who either have their academy training cut short or last-minute recruits, as Zeon tried to fill as many mobile suits as they can on their last line of defense. That was another side effect of Zeon delaying the Zaku II successor's deployment. The Zaku II and its variants is the only Zeon mobile suit that has its control software being revised and standardized vigorously. Other more powerful mobile suits were considered stopgap solutions and have been relying on Zeon's many veteran pilots' experience and skill to mitigate their extra complexity. However, many of these veteran pilots were lost with the disastrous retreat from Earth and subsequent defeats in space. Any of the remaining veterans would be piloting Gelgoog, Red Dome, or other more powerful mobile suits. Or they would be using their personalized Zaku II that have been modified to suit them the best. While Zaku II F2 could have been mistaken as old Zaku II F in the final days of the 1-year war, from the following years of Zeon Remnants activity and Federation trying to make use of the massive stockpile of Zaku II parts, it is safe to say that most Zaku II F2 didn't get to fight in the 1-year war. They were shifted or hidden away by Zeon Remnants before the fall of Arbor Coup or captured by the Federation. Zaku II F2 is very prominent among Zeon Remnants because it is the Zaku II, the most numerous mobile suit of the 1-year war, and remains so until the Grips War. Zaku II F2 can be repaired with older Zaku II parts. While they wouldn't be as effective, it is still another fully operational mobile suit. Conversely, Zaku II F2 is also compatible with most Zaku II variant parts. That means Zeon Remnants can rebuild their damaged Zaku cannon or high mobility type, or even special terrain type like desert or swarm type with their Zaku II F2. But most importantly, Zaku II F2 is designed to be operated on Earth or in space. That means if any Zeon Remnants get their hands on one, they can use it no matter where they are. Zaku II F2 is important to Zeon Remnant for other reasons. It is practically the base mobile suit of post-maintenance project, Groove, and Dome. It means Zeon Remnants can rebuild Zaku II F2 into these more powerful mobile suits or vice versa when their more specialized parts ran low. In addition, more resourceful Zeon Remnants would develop new mobile suits based on the Zaku II F2 because it works with most mobile suit parts. The most prolific and extensive use of Zaku II F2 was in UZ0083 by the Zeon Remnant faction known as the dra-c, who launched a surprise nuclear warhead on the Federation fleet during the parade around Space Fortress Solomon, and subsequently planned to drop a space colony on Earth, later known as Operation Stardust. Dallas fleets also deployed dra-c, one of those Zaku II F2 based mobile suits that we have mentioned. There were even some Zaku II F2 spotted during the Laplace conflict 2 decades later, although these units are often largely overhauled to mitigate their antiquity design. With Laplace conflict ended with Space Colony earning the right to arm themselves, the remaining Zaku II F2 either enjoined their owners to be part of Space Colony militia, brought as training machines, or simply repurposed as mobile workers. While Zaku II F2 had greatly extended the service lives of Zaku II, Zaku II F's legacy was not quite as flourished as the Zaku II itself. Some may argue that the Gelgoog and dra-c series, with more advanced mobile suits being built from the same standard-based mobile suit, are spiritual successors to the Zaku II F2. Although those mobile suits also have their development lineage and more direct influence, and we will save them when we have one in hand. Thanks for watching.